Hello, good afternoon. We are the group from BS ARCHI 24 and we are here to discuss the architectural period for Bauhaus. So without further ado, let's take you to the world of modern architecture. So first, let's have the learning objective for this lesson. At the end of the presentation, there should be a better understanding about the apprehension on how modern architecture and Bauhaus originated. We would also give definitions about this period. Next, how and when they have developed over time and space. And lastly, for us to identify modern buildings, specifically Bauhaus, its characters and features as well as the prominent architects. So without having an initial background about modern architecture, since yung Bauhaus is a part of the movement ng modern architecture, let us first discuss yung modern architecture. Paano nga ba siya nagsimula and paano siyang or kailan siya nagumpisa. So it began in the early 19th century but emerged in the late 1900s. So it has started after the World War I. And modern architecture or modernist architecture was an architectural movement or style based upon new and innovative technologies of construction, particularly mas prominent na yung mga use of glass, steel, and reinforced concrete. So the idea that form should follow function or functionalism, and it's also an embrace of minimalism and a rejection of ornament. So the roots of modern architecture can be traced to the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, which was composed of entirely cutting-edge buildings and cemented the United States' role as a world leader in art, architecture, and technology. And the head architect was Daniel Burnham, who recruited the most prominent American architects, including Louis Sullivan's firm Adler and Sullivan, to design the temporary buildings for the fair. And Louis Sullivan is most known for his aesthetic philosophy, form follows function, which became the rallying cry for the modern movement.
In transition, throughout the 20th century, we find many architectural styles and trends. Largely characterized siya by the search for functionality at sa importance ng interior space, to the detriment of the ornamental work of the facade. The civil architecture ay in-established as the true protagonist ng architectural movements, gaining special importance to the urbanization and the blocks of houses that go united to a great philosophical production. Modernist architectural styles emerge in contrast to the previous trend, the cast iron architecture, whose greatest exponent is the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and are presented as deeply decorative trends with round shapes. This type of architecture ay naglalayong basagin ang monotony of the lines of the facade through the asymmetry and the curve of the freeforms. The most commonly used materials are steel, wrought iron, and glass, typical elements of industrial type architecture, but used in combination with the forms of nature and the revaluation of craftsmanship. Bauhaus. Ang Bauhaus ay isang art school na itinayo noong 1999 by Walter Gropius, which mean building or construction house. 3 Bauhaus centers were located in Weimar, Dessau, and Berlin. It meant a revolution at ilan sa mga students nito are among the most renowned architects and designers worldwide. Its prestige has led it to remain an icon of design and architecture hanggang sa ngayon. His most recognized motto, which is nevertheless attributed to the architect Louis Sullivan of the Chicago School, "Form follows function," is a declaration of intent and perfectly represents his love of simple forms and rationalism.
Now for the Bauhaus philosophy, it focuses on radically simplified forms, rationality, and functionality, combining crafts and fine arts, and was famous for the approach to design that is publicized and thought. This style became one of the most influential currents in modernist architecture and modern designs. So during this period, mas nag-explore sa new directions of design yung mga architects by cutting down unnecessary ornamentations, and mas nagfo-focus sila sa function and form. They also focus on harmony of craftsmanship and mass production of their arts, and they want to keep it minimal, whole point bridging art and industry and making design more democratic. The famous materials during this time are tubular steel, which was the star of the Bauhaus design movement, plastic, wood, iron, textile, glass, leather, and concrete.
Ilan sa mga important people in Bauhaus architecture are, una ay si Walter Gropius. Walter Gropius founded the Bauhaus in 1919 as a new type of art school that combined life, craft, and art under one roof. Gropius managed the Bauhaus as its director hanggang 1928. Sumunod naman ay si Hans Meyer. In 1927, Hans Meyer arrived at the Bauhaus Dessau with his business partner Hans Wittwer and assumed a post as director of the newly established building department. On 1st April 1928, Walter Gropius appointed him to be his successor as the director of the Bauhaus. Lastly ay si Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, ang third director, was in charge from 1930 to 1933. Ludwig Mies van der Rohe has personally recommended by Walter Gropius. The leading German avant-garde architect, Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, was the third and last Bauhaus director. Appointed by the founding director of the school, Walter Gropius, he replaced the previous director Hans Meyer, na na-dismissed for political reasons in 1930.
Architectural character. The primary characteristics of Bauhaus architecture are based on the theory of form follows function. Minimalist. Bauhaus architecture is a great style of architecture for those who prefer minimalism as well as function over style. This style of architecture also holds true to the old saying that less is more. Geometrical. Buildings constructed from the Bauhaus design are always cubic in shape. It is functional and straightforward with geometric shapes and few extraneous details. Another popular characteristic of Bauhaus design is abstract shapes, used sparingly in decoration and a functional option for mass production. Anti-ornament. The designers of the time believed that there was no place for ornament, which was very different to the ideas of the arts and craft movement of the late 19th century. The Bauhaus brought together mass production and the innovative use of materials. Industrial look. Since the Bauhaus movement focuses on simplicity and industrialism, it most often tries to incorporate the fewest different materials possible, all of which are considered industrial modern materials. These materials include glass, especially the ribbon windows or glass curtain walls, concrete, especially in building design, and steel, especially in appliances and objects like lamps and chairs. Aside from the advancement of architecture to steel and concrete, one of its modern materials include glass. Monochromatic. Monochromatic colors are all the colors of a single hue. Monochromatic color schemes are derived from a single base hue and extended using its shades, tones, and tints. Architectural features. Bauhaus architecture's characteristics include functional shapes, abstract shapes used sparingly for decor, simple color schemes, holistic design, and basic industrial materials like concrete, steel, and glass. Flat roofs. Flat roofs are another important characteristics of the Bauhaus style. Therefore, houses in the Bauhaus style often resemble a white cube with a modern and minimalist character. The Bauhaus style is a very timeless style that has been modern for over 100 years. The Bauhaus architects did flat roofs because they were interested in cubes, says Bay Area architect Walter Thomas Brooks, referring to Gropius, Mies, and their circle. When you have a cube, you have a flat roof. A smooth facade. Bauhaus architecture primarily uses functional shapes like squares, triangles, and circles, with little in the way of embellishment. Many Bauhaus buildings are starkly geometric, with flat roofs and streamlined facades. If there are abstract shapes, they are used sparingly for ornamentation. Furthermore, it has smooth and uniform wall surfaces. Large windows. The predominantly white facades of the complex form a perfect foil for the dark, embedded glass windows. It has huge windows that reflect the sky and allow natural light and ventilation to properly penetrate. Absence of ornamentation. Bauhaus design features little to no embellishment or ornamentation, instead drawing attention to the streamlined design. For example, many Bauhaus buildings have flat roofs to create a simple geometric look. Geometrical shape. The Bauhaus style was stripped down and economic. The geometric shapes, bold colors, and materials such as steel, concrete, and glass at its heart. Although the school itself closed in 1933, its influence can still be felt today. To sum it up, ang mga architectural feature ng Bauhaus architecture ay flat roofs, smooth facade, large window upang makapasok ang natural light at para sa proper ventilation. Absence of ornamentation, geometrical shape, at ang paggamit ng mga concrete, glass, and steel.
The major goal of the school was to encourage craftsmen and artists to collaborate, to elevate the status of crafts, and to maintain relations with industry and craft leaders in order to eventually become independent of government control. The Bauhaus School wished to articulate contemporary culture through the creation of new forms that were designed for everyday living. Furniture is functional. It was created according to the theory of form following function. There were chairs, sofas, lamps, and other household items. The Bauhaus also declared equality between the sexes, where German women had once received art education at home with tutors. At the Bauhaus, they were free to join courses. The Bauhaus has had a lasting influence, from having its own font to popular chair designs, and there was even a British goth band in the 80s called Bauhaus, an instigator in the minimalism trend, which is still one of the most popular styles to date. Bauhaus helped the design world step away from the ornate designs of the early 20th century with its emphasis on function before form.